I'm Ronald Bewley. Let's get started. Now, when you practice and when you perform, there's an order of importance to music. In other words, there's a hierarchy that you have to go through when you play. And what I mean by that, an order of importance, is each thing on the list, you have to have the one before to do the next one. And it's not just sort of in any order. The next thing on the list requires the one before. So the top one in our order of importance is rhythm. Everything you play in music has to be in rhythm, is going to be in rhythm. So when this is what I'm talking about, practicing once you're running something through or performing, it's got to be in rhythm. Obviously, if you practice, you do a little section or whatever, or just working on notes, even that actually is still in rhythm. You need that coordination. So if you're not sure about the rhythm, and you don't know how it goes, the first thing you need to do is figure out how that rhythm sounds and be able to say it. I'm a big believer in if you can say it, you can play it. And then you have to apply it to everything else. Next, at least on the brass instruments that I do, you have to do either the right fingers in rhythm or the right slide positions in rhythm, depending on your instrument. And I have some videos about that, rhythm fingers and rhythm positions, or some techniques that I use to practice that way. But you've got to be able to do your music with your fingers in rhythm or your slide in rhythm. That's two. Of course, you need the rhythm to do that, and then you want to do those. Next is you've got to be able to play the notes in rhythm, because you could do the first two and miss a note, go too high or too low or crack a note or whatever. So you've got to get to where you can play the notes in rhythm as well. And I call those the big three. If you can't do those three, you can't play the music. You've got to get those out of the way first. And then the other things are all important. I said it's in order of importance, so everything's important, but there are steps for doing it that put it together so that you can actually do all those together. So the big three are, you have to get the rhythm first, then you got to get the valves or and the slide, whichever one it is, in rhythm, and then you've got to play the notes in rhythm. Okay, then once you can do those, you're basically playing the song. Okay, now's when you start to focus on things like articulations. And I count those next because, again, it's going to be needed for the next thing. So if you're having trouble with articulations, a good thing to practice is saying them. On the rhythm fingers, we say them and do them with the valves on trombone. I would just say them because we do a little different thing for the slide. But you need to practice saying your articulations. What I mean by articulations are accents, staccatos, slurs. A lot of slur groupings can be tricky, or legato tonguing. Anything that you have articulation-wise like that, you've got to add that to the rhythm, the valves or slide in rhythm and the notes in rhythm. Then you got to add the articulation to that. Like before you play the horn, you might just say it and then put it on the horn. Okay, next are dynamics. And dynamics are where you sound loud and where you sound soft, and loud, forte, mezzo forte, piano, mezzo piano, pianissimo, that type of thing. If you're new to music, the dynamics use articulations. Articulations are part of getting a loud sound and a soft sound, which is why I put them ahead of dynamics. So then you would add the dynamics of playing louder and softer, because you're going to need your articulations to help you do that, to sound louder and to sound softer. Then once you've done articulations, you've got the big three, and then you add your articulations, your dynamics. Okay, now you're pretty much playing the music. So the next step is the style of the music, because music comes in many different styles. So if you're playing a march, you want to know the style of a march, or whether you're doing a symphony or whether you're doing a funk tune or a 50s rock song or a jazz standard, whatever, you need to know those styles and start to practice it in the style that's appropriate for the music. And that's going to change a lot of the way you do things when you play it based on the style of music. So once you get that and have that knowledge as well, so you can know what the style is going to be for the music and how you do it, then the last thing is your personal style. So as a musician, when you're practicing, if you're playing a march, maybe when you're playing a Sousa march, you know that you do this and that's the style of music, but you kind of like to do this as well when you're playing Sousa, or whether you're playing Mahler, or whether you're playing, Charlie Parker or the Rolling Stones or whatever. You kind of add your own personal touch to the solo or the part or whatever. But that order of importance makes a big difference in learning things, because when you do those out of order, you're going to have a lot of problems. In other words, if you're working on articulations and you can't yet do the vowels or the slide in rhythm, you're not going to get very far with the articulations, and even if you get those down, you're playing out of rhythm and playing wrong vowels or positions or whatever, you're going to have trouble that you're going to have to fix. And so it's much easier to go through that order of importance and follow those steps, because like I said, you need the step before to do the next step. So once again, that step was, first you have to be able to do the rhythm, then you have to do the slide positions or the vowel fingerings in rhythm, then you have to be able to play the notes in rhythm. And those are the big three. That now you can at least play the song. Then you start adding some of the more musical aspects, like do your articulations, and then you use those to help you with the dynamics, and then you need to play the piece of music in the style that's appropriate for that type of music, and then last, add your own personal touch to it, your own style to that style of music. Then that puts you together as a player and as a better musician. So I hope you find that helpful.